We were described as the worst England touring side in the history of any sport.
I've never played that drunk before.
Well, technically, if Scotland and Ireland had a chat together and Scotland said, well, if you let us win, score 4 tries and beat you by 21 points, we'll let you score 4 tries, we knock out South Africa.
I hadn't seen that.
They asked the
Jack Nienaber.
They asked him in the press conference.
Wow.
And he went, that sounds to me like you're suggesting match fixing. And he was like, no, but that's the scenario. Can you see that happening?
Wow. Tins, you have lit a fire. I didn't catch that. Hello, Dream Team. Welcome along to another episode of The Good, the Bad and the Rugby, brought to you by our very good friends at Continental Tyres. The main event, it rumbles on. The smoke begins to clear a little bit. The draw is starting to take shape and the drama continues to come thick and fast. What a final round we have got of the pool stages coming up. And on this week's show, we're going to check in with England. We're going to have a Tier 2 Appreciation Society. Top tier is here. Thankfully, the middle tier isn't. Welcome along to the Lord.
Hello.
Before we get into what an amazing weekend it was, and definitely a lot of Tier 2 love, shall we start with when in Rome? Give us a quick blast of one of the great weekends.
City Index tour tale.
Yeah, or you can go straight into that. Or you can just...
Obviously, we had a weekend off. Really, we've had a weekend at home. Well, you've had a weekend at home.
Yeah, recharging
the battery.
Rehydrating.
I have decided to put myself to the well a little bit more, but for the love of my wife and for good times.
Good.
And I had something that I never thought I'd say to you as my tour tale is I had lunch with Stefan Edberg, Adam Scott, and Justin Timberlake discussing
thud. Let me just pick those three up for you.
Discussing rugby and the demise of Australian rugby with a very sad Adam Scott. Yeah,
really. So the woes of the Wallabies have filtered well beyond France.
Yeah,
into the world of golf. Is he a disappointed man? Because you've played with him before.
Yeah, I played in Japan with him after the jungle, but I went back to my original first time I ever met Adam Scott. I was caddying for Dorse at the Belfry in 98, maybe 99.
Right. You were caddying for Dorse. How the tables have turned.
And he was playing Dorse, by the way, that day. I was embarrassed to be his caddy.
Wow.
He's embarrassed. He couldn't hit the ball or anything.
Right.
And it got to the point.
Does he take that well as a man who has been
he was so angry. And normally pros will not ever give you a lesson on course. They won't do anything. If you ask them, they'll say something, but they know that you can't mess around on a course and change things. But after about 5 holes, even Adam was like, mate, I think you do this. It was that bad. I don't think he finished a hole in the first 5. But I always thought Adam Scott was older than me because I was sort of the up-and-coming caddying for Dorse, and he's playing in a European tour event. And then I realised now he's 3 years younger than me.
Right.
So he was taking that at 19 or whatever he was. And he now looks way better than I do.
Right.
He's definitely living a good life.
And is he genuinely upset about the plight of the Wallabies?
Yeah, it was more about what the hell is going on. But I think he understands the dynamics. And I think, all Aussies are great sporting fans. And he knows how powerful like the NRL is and AFL and what the battle that they're fighting. But what would have happened, right, if Fiji's been the Highflyers of this tournament and then they'd lost to Georgia?
Yeah.
And they could still lose to Portugal, and they've got Australia can sneak through
and win the thing. Let's come back to Tier 2, but your City Index tour tale, and you are a topper of sorts. I'm not sure Haskell and I could get close to lunch with Stefan Edberg, with Adam Scott or Justin Timberlake.
Now Justin Timberlake's agent has my number to organise golf.
Right. So you're now playing golf with Justin Timberlake?
I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen, but I'm going to do my best to make sure it does happen.
What's his handicap relative to yours?
He is... what do you say his was? I think he's a little higher than me.
He's a golf nut, though.
But he is an absolute nut.
Right.
But again, it's like anything. When depending on what he's doing, filming, whatever else, it takes a... But
you were saying he's built his entire tour around where he wants to play golf.
Yeah, so basically his whole European tour is built where he wants to play golf.
Unbelievable.
So he always has a show, then a day off, so he can play golf on the day off.
Right. City Index Tour Tales. forever being topped by Mike Tyndall and Justin Timberlake.
If I can get him to say, guys, everyone who wants to listen to know anything about rugby,
a little promo for GBR.
I was so desperate to ask him, but I was like, he can't do it first time. While so.
No. Thank you to City Index, who offer spread betting and CFD trading across thousands of markets. And we'll look forward to JT on the sofa before too long, you and your friends in high places. Shall we get into what has been a really colourful, wonderful pool stage to this point? It has been long, and I want to come on to that perhaps a little bit later on. We're going to chat to Ellis in between. Most games on the final weekend have got something running on them. Even Tonga-Romania has the context of two nations looking for a first Rugby World Cup win. As things stand, and as you listen to this, only England and Wales are through, which is remarkable. It goes to show
You were where we
who
were
would have put a pound on that
ago.
6 weeks ago.
A month ago, yeah.
You'd have put a pound on them both being out by now. Talk to me just about the circus of the pool stage this time around and what you've enjoyed.
Look, as much as everyone's gone, this is a joke that we've got those 6 teams on that side of the draw. But it's actually worked amazingly. Yeah. You're going to have 5 World Cup finals. Ireland, South Africa was a World Cup final.
Yep.
Best teams in the league. France, New Zealand was a World Cup final.
Yep. In terms of quality, if not jeopardy.
But yeah, not jeopardy, but as in the quality of the games. Yep. You're then going to go into the 2 quarterfinals on that side as a World Cup final.
Yeah, that's 4.
And then you've got,
your
semi-final will be a quarterfinal.
Yeah.
And then you've got a final.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. I'm with you.
Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say.
I haven't drunk as much as you, but I'm still with you.
Yeah, so you know what I'm trying to say. In terms of the level that you're playing, you're playing the elite back to back to back. You're getting those elite matchups at the same time.
Talk to me about the Tier 2 teams, though, specifically, because Uruguay have just been a blaze of colour. Portugal this weekend
amazing.
Against Australia
Portugal
was one of the most entertaining performances I've watched in a long time. Tonga, who have gone through the gears and really got stuck in to the world champions. The extraordinary thing now is that Fiji are going so well, you almost don't want to bracket them as a Tier 2 team anymore.
Well, exactly, but then it's almost also they need that high opposition to lift their levels, because obviously their levels drop. Well, that's a disrespect to Georgia, and I don't want to do that because Georgia have given everyone a tough game. Yeah, but you would have expected, that's still something when it comes down to just hard, gritty rugby set piece that Georgia bring. Fiji struggled to find their way into their flow and their. And what we've enjoyed through this whole tournament. But
why? What have you noticed about the way that the Tier 2 teams have played this time around relative to
it's completely changed in the fact that it's not. It used to be every Tier 2 would just try and get their defence sorted and try and limit. Whereas they're not. I mean, you look at Portugal have just 15 sevens players now, and that's how they've got to go. They've done it in that Portuguese way. They want to have flair. They want to show off their skill sets, and some of those players have got unbelievable skill sets. And if they're not playing professional rugby, I imagine there's going to be a few getting picked up by French clubs or whatever. Yeah. So, and they've just been unapologetically themselves, like this show. Yeah. We are what we are, and we're gonna showcase that, and we're gonna do it to the best of our ability. And they're built for one-on-one matchups, and when they find them, they beat players. They're consistently beating more defenders than quite a lot of teams, and it's worked for them, and fair play to them. And I think that's what you've seen across most, what we've talked about Six Nation-wise with Italy this year in terms of that they actually try and attack now, whereas it's Italy of past you'd have to hang in there for 60 and then you pull away. That was how you dealt with it because they had a good set piece. Whereas now, everyone's going to say, well, we want to play evasion, we want to offload, keep the ball off the floor, and they've done a fantastic job at doing it.
One of the things I was going to sort of add to that is that the teams you mentioned in the past, all they tried to do was get their defence fixed. They look so much more organised now off set piece and in attack. It looked, I mean, we have touched a number of times on the money that World Rugby are putting in, but also the coaches that they're putting in to help, the legal representation. I actually, funnily enough, thought the Ben Tamiafuna in the Tonga game against South Africa handled the referee brilliantly. He was very articulate. He asked for time when he wanted it. Yeah. They just looked far more accomplished, comfortable across the board, rather than just sort of trying to cling on in there and knowing that it's a stopping of the dam leaking job rather than anything else.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it, when teams get hammered as well, that everyone reached out saying this is why they can't play in top tier rugby, or this is why Italy. I mean, the biggest thing for me of the weekend was no one's talking about New Zealand.
Putting
So
96
no
on
one's
Italy.
talking about New Zealand, and suddenly to put 96
Yeah.
on an Italian team
what
that's
happened
pretty
there?
good and was pretty good in the Six Nations and beat Wales last year, but they were ruthless.
Yeah.
And
Did you tip Italy to win that one?
No.
No. Okay.
But I only went.
Just want to make sure
I
because
only went for-
we're spraying a couple of shots around at the moment.
No, I think I got one wrong. Maybe this. No, I thought Samoa were
No, Japan did beat Samoa.
Yeah, so I thought Samoa were going to beat Japan, which was a cracking game as well.
See, that's going to be a brilliant game. Japan, Argentina.
Yeah.
Argentina are not all that at the moment.
Well, yeah, well, and that's what going back to your original question about how the groups is. I think it's actually worked having what is perceived no, it's not perceived. It is the fact. Your top 6 teams in the world on one side of the draw, and then your next best all down the other side, because you're getting battles of similar levels all the way through.
It's like the Champions Cup and the Challenge Cup in one competition.
Yeah.
But the Challenge Cup teams will meet the Champions. Yeah. Good luck with that.
And it's worked because there is so many times where you go, well, you go into the World Cup going, right, that's the only interesting game in that group. That's the only interesting. Whereas you haven't had that. The repatriation of those players going back to Tonga, to Samoa, to Fiji, and being allowed to play, and moving around has definitely benefited this tournament. And you're getting cracking games, and that's all you want. You want something to keep the interest, and there's times where you go through a World Cup where you're not actually bothered about watching a game because you're not going to have to talk about them later or whatever. Whereas, there's genuine interest in seeing some of the players, and I think some of those tier 2 players who've sort of captured. Yeah. You want to watch them.
Yep. Yeah. I completely agree with. There was a very interesting tweet put out by Dan Leo this week refereeing the fact that when Argentina made the semi-final and came third actually in 2007, World Rugby moved heaven and earth to get them into the Rugby Championship, and I think they joined in 2012, if my memory serves. So that's 5 years later. Dan Leo has said, if Fiji make the semis this time around, World Rugby, it is on you to make sure that happens.
I think Fiji should be playing more internationals.
But this is the question, really. Are we seeing the performance, the colour and the flair of Portugal and the absolute passion of Uruguay and Georgia have been knocking on the door for a while now, and went one in Cardiff, whatever it was, 18 months ago. Are we seeing these tier 2 teams not just sort of saying, hello, we're here, could you consider us, but absolutely now hammering on the door of World Rugby to say you have to build a structure that enables us to play more competitive rugby?
I think so, because having watched this World Cup now, say there was a South American Six Nations or whatever it would be, Chile, Uruguay, Argentina,
Brazil have got an incredible pack.
Yeah, Brazil, and it was on TV and I could watch it. I'd watch it. Yeah, because I know what rugby they're going to play, and it's the rugby that I want to watch.
And the fans are going to come to the party too.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's going to be a question mark again around, talking to a few US guys, and that we can't have US and Canada dropping off the radar.
Well, you just have an America's competition would be unreal.
You could do, but then someone will say it's too much Someone will say it's too much travelling, or carbon footprint, or something like that. But you've got to get something. You've got to get something sorted out that's official across. To allow you only get better by playing those games and playing against good teams. But if you build a structure, you'll lead to stadiums, which will lead that tier 1 nations can go and actually tour countries. I know it's harder with the Pacific Islanders, which is a problem because of there isn't the hotels. There's not a lot of time the infrastructure.
It's got to be done though.
But it's got to be done. It's got to be done in a way where the greater good is you allow them to benefit from having a home game in a neutral country or whatever, but they take all the money. Yeah, everyone's just got to buy into the fact that you go tour in Samoa and you do it.
That's what
you do it the Samoan way.
That's part of the game.
That's
part of the game. Okay, should we quickly fly through the pools then? Italy, 96 as you've mentioned already, at the hands of the All Blacks, but France, Italy. They're not. Italy can't get back up again, can they?
No.
So France and New Zealand going through.
Yeah. So I think obviously Italy, very very proud nation. Obviously I was in Italy. And then, speaking to a few cabbies on the way to the course, and they were excited about them playing the All Blacks. And it was like, could we do it? And obviously on social media there was the bit out of Starship Troopers. They're afraid.
Yeah.
Turns out they're not.
They're pretty uncomfortable.
But I think this Italian team has great players that are great to watch. But France are
Not
just
their
so
day.
good. Yeah.
Pool B comes down to Ireland against Scotland, which is going to be an absolute Celtic hunt.
So technically, if Scotland and Ireland had a chat together, and Scotland said, "Well, if you let us win, score 4 tries, and beat you by 21 points, we'll let you score 4 tries. We knock out South Africa."
I hadn't seen that.
So they asked the Nibar,
Jack Nienaber.
Yeah, they asked him in the press conference,
Wow.
and he went, "That sounds to me like you're suggesting match fixing." And he was like, "No, but that's the scenario. Can you see that happening?" Now, just imagine if it did now happen.
Wow. Tiz, you have lit. I didn't
the
catch that.
the conspiracy theorists that would go out if it actually happened.
I hadn't even considered that.
Scotland beat Ireland 55-24 or something.
Yeah.
And then South Africa would go home.
Wow. Watch this space. That would be quite remarkable. Pool C, arguably the most competitive pool in Rugby World Cup history, we know. And then in Pool D, Argentina against Japan. Can Jamie Joseph's men get up?
Yeah, it's been a weird one for Argentina. They haven't been Argentina.
Screeched on their full tires.
They haven't been what we know and expect Argentina to be.
Yeah.
And I think it'll probably go to the wire. I'd say Argentina are probably going to go in favourites, but Japan will...
It's an early kickoff as well.
Japan have had success in the last 3 World Cups, so they'll be thinking we can get through again. Why not?
We shall see. We are showing a lot of love to Tier 2, and I hope you are as well. And on that note, let's bring in our Continental Showstopper moment of the week. And there are a number to choose from. We could have gone with David Ninjashvili and his 53-metre penalty from Georgia. We could have gone with Pedro Betancourt and the remarkably cool try, the first one that Portugal scored against Australia. Ben Tamiafuna, absolutely seismic for Tonga. But our Continental Showstopper of the week is none other than Pat Pellegrini, who came off the bench to score an absolute worldie for Tonga. And I spoke to him a bit earlier on. First of all, tell us how the last 24, 48 hours have been off the back of just one of the most heartwarming, colourful stories of Rugby World Cup 2023.
It's been a bit crazy, to be fair, the last 24 hours or so. Phone's been blowing up a bit and just heaps of support. But I still can't really believe it. It's still a bit surreal. Hasn't really sunk in, I don't think.
Tell me where the weirdest or furthest afield message has come in from.
A few really old mates and that from back home that haven't spoken to in years. So it's very good to see. Very cool.
And now they see you strutting your stuff on the world stage. Yeah. Tell me, because we're going to come on to your story because it's a remarkable one. But tell me what those moments were like coming on, and then just open field. And to be fair, a good dive for the try as well. We've seen some fairly ugly scores in this tournament, but it was a solid 8 or 9 out of 10 in terms of the actual scoring as well. Tell me what those moments were like.
Yeah, I think the build up before going on, very nervous like that whole time. Kind of 60-something thousand fans against the Springboks, but then once you're on, I guess it was just kind of just play rugby and just the rugby instincts kicked in. Just saw the space behind, chip and chase, and then got a lucky bounces, right place, right time, and kind of just like in the head, just about to score. Couldn't really believe it was happening at the moment. Got the try and just kind of went nuts.
It really did. I mean, there was a lot of cheering where we were watching as well. Tell me a little bit about how you've ended up at Rugby World Cup 2023, because, we're used to watching an England squad who week in, week out strut their stuff in the Premiership and the All Blacks in Super Rugby. Your journey has been a little more varied, if I can put it that way. How have you ended up in France?
I was on the tour before the pre-World Cup tour. Unfortunately, didn't make that squad, so I went back to Coventry, had a couple games there, and then unfortunately there was an injury to the backup 10. So then I got the call from Kefu that I'll need to come in. So kind of after that Harlequins game, I was straight on a bullet train straight to the World Cup.
Absolutely unbelievable. And you've been playing, I'm looking at sort of some of the clubs you've played for. Semi-pro for Randwick and West Harbour. You've been playing for Sevenoaks in the 5th tier of English rugby. You obviously mentioned already you've signed for Coventry. I mean, how have you managed to get yourself to the level you're at? Have you always had the belief that you belong on a stage like this, or is this all a bit of a whirlwind?
I mean, always dreamed of it as a kid, and then kind of just hoped that everything would fall in place. Kind of even going to England to play for Sevenoaks in that 5th tier, kind of just like just trust the process. Knew if I could play good rugby that I could get picked up by a higher club and get noticed a bit. So kind of just trust the process. And yeah, now that I'm here, it is a bit surreal, but I can't really believe I'm here. But yeah, I did always dream and hope that I'd get here at one point.
Tell me a little bit about training week in, week out with Charles Piatow, Malachi Fekitoa, etc. How much have you learned from operating around those guys?
Yeah, you learn heaps from them, but they are very easy to get on with. They take you in. They are always trying to help you out, especially being like one of the newer boys in the squad. It's very cool.
And last but not least, Romania next. It sort of feels like a huge opportunity for Tonga to really stamp a mark on a tournament in which you've progressed, but a win. To talk to us about how much a victory would mean for you as a squad and for the people who follow you.
Victory would be massive. Last game, still got a job to do, so hopefully we can do that. Romania, they do look good as well. Like they so can't take it easy, but we a victory would be massive, and that's what we're all thinking now. Is kind of just get this last job done and just do our jobs and hopefully we can come away with the win.
And your journey has been such a remarkable one. You obviously now stamped your mark on Rugby World Cup 2023. Those special moments when you run out and when you stand and do the Sivitao and when you sing the anthem, who are you thinking of?
To be honest, my Tongan's not that good, so I'm just thinking don't mess up the anthem. Lots of times. Do
you practice? I mean, we've seen the All Blacks sort of practice the haka, etc. Is that something that you practice as a squad?
Yeah, we do. And then I do, obviously being new, I kind of do my own and just watch it as well, just so I can make sure I don't mess it up.
Fantastic. Listen, it's been one of the real highlights of this tournament, watching you strut your stuff out there, and your journey has been a remarkable one. Let's hope it's got a fantastic next chapter to come against Romania as well. But Pat, lovely to catch up. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck with what's to come.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
That was Pat, fun pack Pat, and our Continental Showstopper moment of the week. Well done, Pat Pellegrini, and well done to Tonga as well. Let's now bring in our boy, the fourth wheel on our car, head over to Latuke and say bonjour, bienvenue to Dr. Ellis Genge. How are you?
Yeah, oui. Bien, ça va? Comment ça va?
Wow.
Yeah.
You've been working hard on that, haven't you?
Well, you really have integrated into France. That's exceptional.
If you could try and do it
like
with
a
a
native.
proper Bristol accent as well,
Yeah.
then you've really completed French.
Oui,
They
bab.
actually have accents over here, apparently. A few of the boys who are learning French said that like the Parisian accent's very different to down south. So
Yeah, the
struggling to-
Catalan one's really like strong and gritty, isn't it? Yeah.
Oui,
yeah,
bien
I
sûr.
don't know. No idea. I don't go much past ça va, to be honest.
That's absolutely on point. Can I start? I'm going to start with one of your Instagram posts. I'm going to give you the line that you put out, and you're going to tell us the story. Amazing, brilliant, never again. What have you been up to?
Well, Disneyland is amazing, isn't it? But I'll never go again, I don't think. It just wasn't. It was straining, man. I think probably the shortest ever stint. And the shortest ever stint at Disneyland in history. We were there for about 4.5 hours. Had 2 Fantas, a burger, and then left.
Right. Did you meet Mickey?
No, he was nowhere to be seen. It's not. I've been to a different one before, in Japan in 2019. I went to that Disneyland. Like they're all walking around and they're very present. These ones, I didn't see any of the.
They're French though, aren't they? They're probably on strike.
Yeah.
Has there been relaxation? Have you managed to get out? Obviously, your French is coming on an absolute treat. But have you managed to get out and about and enjoy bits? Because you've had a bit of downtime recently, haven't you?
Yeah, no, it's been decent actually. We've played a bit of golf. Le Touquet is the capital of golf in France. their emblem's like a little golfing man. It's some lush courses. We're playing a Ryder Cup on Wednesday, North v South.
How's that going to go? Is that pretty even or?
It's good, yeah. We've got a few disagreements in the South camp already.
Sounds very like Team USA.
Joe Marchant and Benno and Will Stewart were trying to tell me that Winchester is more southern than Bristol. And I said, I understand that geographically on the map, it is further south in England, but you're also extremely east. And I'm closer to Land's End. So I said that Bristol should have been the capital of the south.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who won?
I was outnumbered 4-1. Then a few other boys come over, Northerners actually, and said, yeah, Bristol's definitely the capital of the south. So I'll take the moral victory.
Good. Yeah. What's your golf like? I've never asked you that before.
Average poor. I play off 24. Shot 101 the other day, and then the week before I shot 92. Oof. So it goes up and down.
Right.
101, 3 figures. It's a hard day at the office.
Why are you shaking your head at that? I play full-time rugby tins, and I'm a front row forward. I weigh 120.
Who is the biggest bandit in the
Ollie Lawrence.
Squad? Ollie Lawrence.
He told me he played for 70 quid, paid for the green fee. Told me that he played off 12, and then I found out a week later his England golf handicap was 6.9, and he told the boys that he played off 10, even though, I don't know, me and Ollie have had some disagreements, but he's in the North, so I'm looking forward to taking him on next week.
My next question is it a happy and harmonious camp? By the sound of it, it's fracturing at all corners.
Fracturing left, right, centre around golf.
Ollie sparks in debates at the moment as well. We play a game called 500 in cards. It's essentially trumps, but you play with a partner, and he's some dubious calls. He's on the back burner at the moment. Not
right. Who is taking control of these situations? It sounds like it's a very lawless society out there. I thought you were meant to kind of hold this place together, aren't you?
We actually endorse cowboyism, if you will. We're a big fan of bandits in our camp. We've had a court every week on a Sunday, fines meeting, and yeah, it's been lawless to say the least.
Who has had the most expensive tournament so far, whether monetary or other?
Probably Johnny May, actually. He keeps betting people stupid bets. He's had to fork up some cash.
How many bucks has he done?
What's that?
How many chicken noises has he made?
He's outgrown that, actually, mate. I think he's done one in the Grand Poulet. But no, he's outgrown that. It's not his thing anymore.
Wow.
Senior citizen. We had a very nice time with your rents at the England Rugby Travel events, actually. Certainly your mum looks like she's having a very good tournament. I think your dad's trying to hold the show together there as well. Have they enjoyed it? Have you seen them? Have you caught up with family and friends?
I don't think I have seen them in France. We actually haven't seen them at all, no.
Oh. Are they enjoying it? There seems to be a very good spirit amongst the families.
They've gone back now. My old man's had to go back to work. He's self-employed, he's a plumber, so he had to go back and earn the bread. But no, they loved it whilst they were out. I think they were here for like 2.5 weeks. They use it as their holiday, like every tour each year, bar the Australia ones and stuff. If it's local, they use it as a holiday for the year. So yeah, they've loved it, made the most of it. Brilliant. Mum enjoyed the wine and the Prosecco, I think.
Did you hear...
She attacked it.
They did tell us a story about Tom Curry's parents. Did you hear that? Who arrived just in time for the Argentina game?
No, they're terrible.
Apparently, yes. The holiday allocation for the year has been spent getting themselves via 4 different ports and 3 different airports to Marseille for the England-Argentina game. They arrived 3 minutes before kickoff, took their seats, and after 35 seconds, I think they were quite ready to go home again. But I mean, them's the apple tree. How is Tom? Is he all right? Is he ripping it up and ready to go again?
Yeah, he's all good. His band's up now, isn't it? So he's been tearing the house down. He's smashing all the fitness and stuff. He's winning all the Broncos, etc. He's not smug at all. He's like, you know, the people that are like so chilled and humble about it that it almost makes them smug. No, he's all right. He's quite happy with himself. He's enjoying life at the moment.
Good. It feels, correct me if I'm wrong, it may not feel like that to you, but it feels, having spoken to you, what was it, during the summer internationals, to now, it feels a totally different vibe. You seem far more relaxed. It feels like there's lots more going on. Have you noticed a shift? I mean, it's amazing what 3 wins will do, and being into the quarterfinals with a week to spare. Is it a notable change, or has everyone else just been making a fuss and you guys have always been totally in control?
I don't know. I felt in control. We felt didn't feel like the place was on fire at all, but obviously there was a lot of noise from the outside. What's funny is obviously you go 3 from 3 and the noise is still, oh, well, they're expected to do that, even though everyone before the tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of them, and you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
So we're used to it. We're just cracking on.
You're grafting, obviously. Does it feel like you're getting some very good work done? Do you feel you're on an upward curve?
Well, the bye week was nice because you get a bit of chance to reset your body. Those boys who've played loads of minutes, those boys who haven't, you can get some good stuff done in terms of weights and condition and stuff. I know it sounds a bit noisy, but you actually enjoy doing it when you hadn't had a run out the week before. For me, like not playing against Chile was a blessing and a curse. Obviously, you want to get out there and play, but at the same time, it's nice to take the load off the body and stuff. So, but we came in. We had 2 hard days last week, so obviously didn't have a game, and I think boys are frothing at the mouth now, ready to get going again.
Did you feel that, because I was saying, if I go through my opinion of obviously Argentina was an amazing win, backs against the wall, just incredible defensive physicality effort. Japan felt a little bit like it was a bit stuttery. You got the job done, and if you'd have shown me the score, I'd have gone, right, efficient, job done, move on. But it left, I felt they were there for a bit more of a taking for you guys. And then Chile, the start of the 20 minutes felt messy, and then it was like you got into your flow of how you want to attack, how you want to play. Did it feel that it was nice to have that and get that feel of attacking off quick ball, up in front, boys just enjoying themselves?
That game against Chile wasn't right. Let's throw the ball about. Let's do this. And to the naked eye, it obviously looked that way for numerous reasons. But we were still playing our game plan. Like that is the exact same game plan that we've had for the games before that, where we didn't score that many points. It's just it looked a bit different because it was against a team that probably very emotional, big game for them, flying off the line. And yeah, so it was just a complete different scoreline down to numerous factors. But that's what I'm trying to sort of hit home, I guess, is that everyone thinks went into that game, everyone's having fun, everyone's slinging the ball about. That wasn't the case. Like we still went through the same process.
I wasn't saying that because I know how you've always wanted to play. But what I was trying to say is it's nice when you can actually put it into practice.
Yeah, it was nice to score some points. It was like, obviously Henry scoring 5 tries and Marcus coming on absolutely ripping, playing 15, absolutely ripping it up. Like it was decent, yeah. And obviously Faz's first game back, stuff like that. It was nice just to see the boys, put a few tries on the ball.
Does Henry have to suffer for scoring 5 tries? 2 or 3 of which were a tap-in?
No? He didn't have to get the jugs in or anything like that.
No.
Those days are behind us, unfortunately.
Oh, maybe post-tournament.
Interesting
that we're talking about the attack, etc. I mean, funny if you were saying the defence has been very impressive. Only 1 try conceded so far this tournament. It's nice for Sakev as well, I imagine, who, I know Hask did an interview with him. He was wearing it a bit coming into the tournament. Has much changed there defensively?
I think it's just our attitude towards it. Maybe defense takes time to understand what each player's going to do, how each player defends, and you almost have to repeat the same process over and over and over again to actually understand what you're trying to do as a team. A bit like attack, I guess. You could say the same for both, but I just don't think that we obviously had a massive scoreline against France in the Six Nations, and then we didn't really have when we had a red against Ireland after that, and we didn't really have an opportunity to really sink our teeth into building massive phases. Indeed, we were conceding quite fast. So yeah, Kev just went away, went back to the drawing board, brought some areas that we really need to work on, had some honest conversations, and yeah, we're seeing the fruits of our labour now.
It's brilliant to see. Yeah. Long may it continue. Have you watched much of the rest of the tournament, or are you escaping it when you don't need to?
I've watched most of the games, to be fair. I'm not really into rugby like that, but I've watched the South Africa-Tonga game last night briefly. My telly kept flicking on and off, and then watched Australia-Portugal. Geez, thought Portugal had a look in, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then the Aussies were a bit too much for him in the end. I've watched a fair few. Watched a lot of rugby.
Has there been much, just on the Australia thing, has there been much chat on Eddie? Have any of you sent him a note, or we just let him get on with it?
No, he's in control, mate. He's dealt with it all before, having coached England for that long. He's been under a load of heat. I know bit different now, and the expectations were probably a lot higher for them. But he's seen it all before, hasn't he?
When you're watching, the question I was going to ask you about the other rugby that you've watched is when you are watching Ireland against South Africa, which everyone was like, wow, and actually probably that France-New Zealand game as well, are you thinking, Jesus, we've got to find a bit? Are you thinking we can handle that? Are you thinking on the day anything can happen? What do you see from an England perspective when you watch a game that is two of the top four going hammer and tong like that?
Yeah, it was a good spectacle, wasn't it? Really good games. That France-New Zealand game at the beginning of the tournament was a good game, and that the Ireland-South Africa games obviously spoke highly of low ball in play, but that's the contrast, I guess, in the two styles of play. But no, we haven't said anything about it. To be honest, it's just enjoying watching, and we obviously have a lot of stuff to work on ourselves, so we're just chipping away at our bits.
There was a bit of, I don't know whether this was true or not, Ellis, but there was a bit of chat about England adopting a Millwall attitude. No one likes us, ... Have you got welcome to the den in the team room?
No, we haven't got anything like that. We've got the teams for the Ryder Cup. No, honestly, we're not. I really enjoy that that sort of mindset and mentality. I love the backs against the wall stuff, but no, it's not. I think you're there if you're in that sort of state of mind, then you're probably holding yourself back a little bit and limiting yourself. We had a lot to find out about ourselves, and it wasn't a case of right, fuck it, everyone's against us and all that sort of stuff. It was get our heads down and start doing some proper graft and see where we can go. So without trying to sound too cliche, that was the approach that we adopted, as opposed to the pull the pin on the grenade and hold it for as long as we can until
I mean, it's interesting. Before, when we saw you at the airport when everyone's going to leave, everyone sort of said that you'd had quite a big meeting. That they said in that morning everyone had quite a big chat and a bit of an honesty sesh. Has that paid off? It seems to have paid off. Has everyone sort of reassessed?
Yeah, I think naturally when you have results like that, not taking anything away from them, they deserve to win. The games that they did in those series, we didn't deserve to win the ones that we lost. When you have those results and you've got higher expectations of yourself, you probably look at what's going on anyway. So I think that would have happened even if we won. I think we would have been like, brilliant, let's kick on, let's get better. But because we lost in the manner that we did and came into the tournament with the results that we did, I think it just made us dig a little bit deeper. And those conversations happened naturally. It wasn't a push the red button, batten down the hatches and lock the doors, etc. It was more so, right, what's going on? This ain't us. We've got so much more to give. And yeah, we had those chats and worked everything out, and it's ticking over nicely at the moment, but obviously looking for another big one against Samoa.
Amen to that. Can I ask you very quickly about the dynamic, is that the right word? The dynamic of competition between yourself, Joe Marler, who has produced, if we're honest, one of the greatest assists of Rugby World Cup.
Have you been working on your headers?
Yeah, exactly. Bevan Roddy's been beavering away as well. Is that quite a fun club to be a part of? Is it? What is the dynamic like for three men who want that one shirt?
They're two of the most unique characters I have ever had the pleasure of meeting. Bevan's not so well documented, but definitely a weird cat. But honestly, everyone loves him. He's such good fun to be around. He is honestly one of the best teammates I've had. And he's so supportive whenever I've been playing. I tried to support him as much as I can when he was starting in that Chile week. And Joe's up and down. Sometimes he loves you, sometimes he hates you. But I've known Marla for a long time, and we were very clear with each other at the Goodden tournament that we're both going to push each other as much as we can. And I think that's healthy. Having great players like Bev and Joe in your position to just makes you better, don't it? You got to hold onto the shirt as much as you can and hope that they push you to be the best player you can. But yeah, the dynamic's been good. Off the pitch, it's been fantastic. Marla's an average golfer like me. Bev don't play. He plays paddle, but he won the paddle tournament the other day.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. He was incredible. He just fully commits to everything. What else could I tell you? That's about it, really. There's no front row group or anything doing weird shit anymore. But we've got some funny cats, and he's definitely one of them.
I think we need, when you get back and the dust has settled, perhaps we need a loose head trio of a specific show.
It's always It's always like that. It's always like that with the front row. It's a strange position to play anyway, and it takes interesting cats to do it. But it's always entertainment. I mean, I see more of Phil Vickery now than I ever did when I was playing with him, and he's still a proper art. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got those restaurants and stuff.
He's just moved location. Yeah,
he's fit as a butcher's dog at the moment.
Yeah,
he's
in good nick at the moment.
Listen, it's been very nice to catch up. Just to sort of sum up, obviously I know it's a massive game against Samoa and there's a job to do. But if we've got England fans listening to this, would it be right to say it's a calm, controlled camp at the moment that knows what it's got to do and is making progress and going in the right direction? Is that about right?
I think that's an accurate statement, Alex.
Thank you, Ellis. Rare that I
it's
get
very
one out.
Rare he gets it right,
exactly. Let's celebrate the moment. Good luck in the Ryder Cup. We will look forward to watching all that unfold. Go do what you got to do against Samoa. We'll be out there cheering on at that one. Thank you for dialing in. Look after yourself. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Au revoir.
Good on you, Beth.
Au revoir.
Au revoir, indeed.
Mon ami.
Au revoir, mon ami. On y va. Ellis, now for a message brought to you by American Express. As a small business owner, we know you're always trying to manage work with some much needed downtime, and Amex understand that getting this balance can be difficult. So we wanted to tell you about American Express business cards and how you can earn points on your business transactions and then use those points on doing more of the things that you enjoy. Take your standard office spend on laptops, online ads or supplies and get points on these transactions and use those points to help you switch off and recharge. Perhaps you're like Tins and you want a brand new set of golf clubs. Perhaps you're like Hask and you need to purchase a new set of headphones for your upcoming trip to Ibiza. Or you could use them to book that once-in-a-lifetime trip that you have been waiting for. For more information, search Amex Business Card. Terms and annual fees apply. 18 plus, subject to status. I would like to return, Tins, to Tier 2. What we have loved about Tier 2, what we have loved about the tournament, and perhaps where the tournament could be improved, because it's obviously been a longer pool stage than ever before. We've had teams who've had 13, 14 days off. England have had a holiday mid-World Cup. Is the tournament that we have with us now good enough for you to give it another crack in Australia? Or do you think there is tweaking to be done, which means we get to see more of the rich, vibrant Tier 2 teams and their fans in different capacities beyond just having to sort of front up against Tier 1 nations?
Look, it's not easy. Again, it's something that our sport has to battle with, the fact that it's highly physical and you can't do a football World Cup and play 3 games in a week. Otherwise, you've got to extend your player pool to 40.
Yeah,
and be able to take basically 2 teams. But then that's not great either. Well, it could lead to potential banana skins, whatever. But I think it's actually worked all right. And I've actually enjoyed it. I've actually been disappointed. I always get disappointed when there's days where you don't have a game.
Yeah.
But...
so you don't think it's better? So Brian Moore wrote a very good article about the opportunity for a plate competition. So at the moment, it's obviously top 2 through.
Yeah.
And then you've got the third tier. The teams who come third qualify automatically for 2027. And then it's sort of, thanks for coming, go back into qualification. Would you build some sort of competition which means we get a Uruguay-Portugal plate final at the Stade de France on the Thursday before the third place playoff and the final?
I wouldn't mind that, because you look at the Uruguay-Namibia game this week, it was a full house.
Yeah.
So, you know, in that Rugby World Cup period, people are going to go and fill those stadiums, especially if it's in somewhere like France.
Yeah.
Now, your question would be, if the tournament wasn't there and no one shows up for the games, if it's in not a rugby positive place, which, well, very rarely our Rugby World Cups are. But if you went to Australia, I'm not necessarily sure that the plate competition would work, because there's no point in playing it if there's no one there. You don't make the money, it costs you money. It's always going to come down to money.
So you've got to find a way to make sure that the games stand up on their own.
Yeah.
Is Rugby World Cup now, in 2027, a concern, given all of the noise around this Australian outfit?
Yeah,
the Lions
of course it is. I mean, you hope the Lions trip will
It could make it even worse if it doesn't.
Yeah, but it'll revigorate in terms of the amount of travelling fans and everything that go. It'll remind people of how good a time you can have around rugby union.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the fans, the banter, the commercial side for everyone who owns a bar or a hospitality joint in the whole of Australia. But yeah, if they get humped, it's not great. You know, the Australians are natural born winners, so if they're not winning at something, they turn it off.
Turn out the lights.
Shut it down.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a concern. And you know, going back to your point though, it would be nice to have those have like a plate system where they play to the end and someone they win something. But it gives them
experience of knockout rugby.
It gives them knockout rugby.
And
It gives them more expensive experience playing on a big stage, big crowds. Hopefully, then the home nations who are watching on telly inspires more kids. It's always going to be that way. So, even if you win a plate, it's still winning something that you go home with that people will be proud of you for. So, I think it's a good idea, but it's very specific to where the World Cup is.
Can we have a word about the Tier 2 fans?
Yeah.
In fact, I'm not sure it is just Tier 2 fans. It's the South American fans in general. Argentina, that game we went to, that England-Argentina game, the Argentinian fans were unbelievable. Chile, Uruguay have been a blaze of colour. There was a really, really... it was just a fantastic moment in the Australia-Portugal game. So I was watching it with my son Harry, and Portugal scored through it was a pushover try. So I think it was Rafael Simões who scored. And it cut to the Portuguese fans going absolutely bananas. And right in the heart of it, there was a 16-year-old kid in a Portugal football shirt giving the double bird to the Australian fans. And Harry laughed. I just thought, do you know what? I know rugby is clinging to the sort of the values and the traditions and all of the things that we know made rugby wonderful since 1800 or whatever it was. I just thought, what an amazingly breath of fresh air. It just was like the kind of Latino passion that Twickenham matchday experience won't give you. I just thought I want so much more of that in the game.
I think it's also what Rugby World Cup gives you is it takes away from what the normal fan is that turns up at Twickenham.
Yeah.
Everyone can get a ticket. You've got a ballot, and only the people who really want to be there will get there.
Yes.
Yes, there is. You can still have the wealthy fan, but he's got to act like anyone else.
Yeah.
He's got to live in the same. He's got to battle for his own hotel room or whatever.
Yeah.
And you have to you muck in. And I think it goes back to that thing with the women's game and the fans that go to women's game where it's more accessible, it's easier, it's way more diverse because and people go to have a good time and have a party and watch the game at the same time. And I think that's what I've really noticed this time about the Rugby World Cup is your fans are there because they really really want to be there. And they want to support, and we talked about the show about what is a fan's job is to go and support. I think every nation's done an unbelievable job, but it does also show coming from that sort of Latino flair, football crowds that are loud, and then put it with a rugby mentality, and it makes for an amazing show.
We haven't even touched on Ireland's fans. Did we talk about Ireland's fans last week? I mean, it has been.
That was one of the that was a great song that they did at the Ryder Cup. And not to throw back to the Ryder Cup, yes, I was there. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
But when obviously after all the drama kicked off on the Saturday, on Sunday they were singing, "He's in your head, Rory, Rory." Right, and it's just,
wow!
It's just brilliant because obviously they were doing Zombie.
I didn't realise
over there.
They apparently were all singing Bundy instead of Zombie. Bundy.
Were they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It has been, and God, hasn't rugby needed it? That explosion of colour and passion.
But it needs that. Rugby is a game for like diversity in terms of shape, sizes, but it is for the fans as well.
Yeah,
and it just celebrates, that everyone comes together. And
I do think there is a lot of work to be done before Rugby World Cup 2027 in Australia and Rugby World Cup 2031 in the US.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you. I mean, if you look, that's the biggest glaring miss at the moment is like.
Where are US and Canada?
Where the Northern Hemisphere, Northern American teams. Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the beautiful thing about a game, isn't it? Two steps forward.
Yeah.
One step hopping about. Well done, the Tier 2 teams. There is one more big finale to come. There is a belting final round, which we have got stuck into. Just before we wrap things up, for the last time, we must tell you about our GBR crews and our Aussie trio are going to be, well, actually, and the prof, actually, it's our Aussie quartet are going to be the only Australians, or are they?
Well,
at Rugby World Cup
at least
2023's
we're
knockouts.
We're
Please don't balls this up, Fiji. Please don't balls this up, for everybody's sakes. We are all going to be on the GBR cruise for the quarterfinal weekend in Marseille. If it all goes to plan, best laid plans and all that, they will be praying, the Aussie boys, that Portugal can do the Wallabies a favour. Head to infinityrugby.io now to secure your place. It is going to be an incredible weekend. We are off to both of the quarterfinals in the south of France. The price includes food and drink, official match tickets, luxury accommodation aboard, match transfers, and a GBRA knees up. If that sounds like your thing and you have been deliberating, click buy now. Talking of knees ups, because GBR and GBRA are going to be doing that aboard, Eddie Jones has said in the aftermath of the win over Portugal, I'm thinking of giving Marika and Samu my credit card and getting him to go into the Fijian camp with some kava. I wouldn't even put it beyond him.
No, well, we talked about what could possibly, if Ireland and Scotland put their heads together.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eddie's
Eddie, are you okay?
born to win. Eddie,
he is copping a hell of a lot of flack. I know that he divides opinion, and I know he is a lightning rod.
This is the thing we said about him, is when he delivers the lines that he delivers and he says the things that he says, if he doesn't back it up, he's going to always cop it. He's just going to do that. But that's why we love him, because it gives you sound bites, but then it comes back at you very thick and fast when everything goes pear-shaped, doesn't it?
You make the bed.
But then, when it goes the right way for you and he goes on that run for England, everyone's like, oh, he's such a breath of fresh air, it's so good. It's just the fickle nature of everything that we deal with.
I tell you, the last thing we'd like to do before we wrap up this week's show is obviously the Red Roses are back in action as well. And we always have our BA Highflyers of the Week segment, brought to you by our good friends at British Airways. The Red Roses have gone back-to-back against Canada. They have named their squad for WXV, and obviously Good Scouts Rugby is back in the not-too-distant future as well. We are going to give our BA Highflyer of the Week to our mini Golden Girl as opposed to our El Grand Golden Girl.
The Mini Mo.
The Mini Mo.
The Minimo. Yeah, like she's had, obviously not making that World Cup in New Zealand and then coming back into the Six Nations, winning the Grand Slam, winning the Allianz Premier 15s, now being in the mix for the back in the England squad, going to the tournament. Is that back in New Zealand?
Yeah.
Going back over there. She's
with a point to prove.
Yeah, she's ridden the roller coaster and come out on top.
All aboard the roller coaster.
So it's the joys of sport.
Well done, Golden Mo. You are our British Airways High Flyer of the Week. England's first WXV game is against Australia. It's on Friday, October the 20th. And as we said, Good Scouts Rugby is back as well. Bigger than ever before. Well done, Mo. Go forth and conquer to you. Brought to you by British Airways, bringing original people, places and cultures together for more than 100 years. Any more? You're going to bed for the most of this week, are you? Before we head out to Lyon?
No, I am. I've actually got a really busy week. Playing golf tomorrow, playing golf Wednesday for charity. But are they bringing over Ruggy Elms?
Ruggy Elson.
Ruggy Elson.
Yeah.
Are they bringing
the GBRA boys?
Yeah, they're bringing Ruggy. They're bringing Ruggy Elson across.
I sincerely hope not, because we're going to have to fork out a hell of a lot for excess luggage if that's the case. Did you ever get your bag back in Rome, by the way?
I did go back, yeah.
You did. I quite wanted you to sort of disappear into the Rome night in a pair of
yeah,
whatever it is.
I managed to style it out the first night, and then I would have struggled the next.
Well done. Well done to two. Well done to Ellis and England as well. Always nice to check in with them, and good to see that the morale is where it needs to be. That is it for this week's show. We have been the Good, the Bad and the Rugby in partnership with our very good friends at Continental Tyres. Thank you as always to...
Can I just say I've really enjoyed it.
It's been nice, isn't it?
It is nice when Hask, isn't it?
It is. I think this has been a cant around the course, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's just really nice. I've just... we were doing some tour promo earlier today.
Right.
I had my fill of him on the phone.
He rang me afterwards and said that he's taken to lying in press interviews because he gets bored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you do read any rather extraordinary stories about any of us, I don't believe any of them. It's quite an effective smokescreen, that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said that apparently I was a bin man.
Yeah, he said you were a bin man. Right. He said obviously you fell off your TV podium and you ended up having to be a bin man. Then you turned to wood whittling.
Sure the readers of BBC Nottingham
basically
News
living out of a caravan
confused.
on the side of the A417 selling your whittled wood merchandise to anyone.
I think he needs a greater focus in his life. He needs a bit more purpose in the day-to-day. Anyway, on that, yes, we are, of course, off on tour in late October and November. Come and join us on that if you would like to. Otherwise, we have been The Good, the Bad and the Rugby in partnership with our very good friends at Continental Tyres. Thank you for your support. The Good, the Bad and the Rugby is a folding pocket production. This episode was produced by Tom Edwards. See you later in the week. Bye for now.
What's the opposite of humble? Haskell. Get Haskell. This is my moment.